Video bites from ulearn.photography. Here's our principal, Simon Q. Walden.
Hi. An email question on this video bite about mixing continuous light with flash, and in particular about achieving a seamless white high key background with continuous light or continuous light and flash. Well, short answer is yes, you can mix the two, and yes, it's actually a really great way of getting that high key background. So basically what you're doing is you're using the continuous light to light the subject, and continuous light is relatively low power compared to your flash. So probably what that means is that you're using a fairly wide aperture and probably a fairly slow shutter speed. And as long as your shutter speed is slower than the sync speed of your flash units, you're fine. So if you set it for, say, 100th of a second or less, then you know that when a flash goes off, it's going to be synced, and you're not going to have any flash sync problems. So all you have to do then is set up your flash units on the background. You probably need to turn the power down because remember you're working on a fairly wide open aperture. Set it for the usual 1 to 2 stops difference on the background compared to the subject, and then when you take your image, the flash will still trigger to illuminate the background and completely white it out, but then your slower shutter speed, wider aperture will allow the continuous light on the subject to register as well. And actually that's a much cheaper and much easier way of achieving the high key look rather than trying to do that with continuous light sources. Because if you try and use continuous light sources to completely illuminate a white high key background, particularly in a large area, you're going to need a hell of a lot of them. You know, you're going to need to have at least 4 times the illumination on the background than on the subject at the same distance from the background to the light as there is from subject to the light to do the same thing with continuous lighting. So you can imagine you've got, you know, a bank of soft light in continuous light for the subject. You're going to need at least 4 times that much to achieve that 2-stop difference on the back wall. So actually, no, the mix of continuous light for the subject and the flash for the background is a really great way to go.
Subscribe now for regular tips and updates. To find out more, go to ulearn.photography.